classic. I'll tell you what, when you hear Jade Hurley perform a number, he gives it his best shot, and all the wonderful tracks that he brings out. He's coming down to Melbourne on the 8th of October, and it's a Sunday evening, and he's doing a show down here amongst three other notables of the rock and roll industry. And the show's called The Good Old Days of Rock and Roll, and on the lineup you've got Jade Hurley, Little Patty, Lucky Star, and the she-Kiwi of the mods back in the 60s, the one Miss Dinah Lee. So it's all happening, and it's all happening at the Palms of Crown, I take it. And I've got a feeling that Bob McKinnon's behind this one here. But anyway, Jade Hurley's on the line. We're going to talk to Jade. That particular track you just heard there, Black is Black, of course, was made famous by a Spanish group called Los Bravos, and Jade Hurley's done a covered version of that, as he's done many others along the way too. We're going to talk about his career, his involvements on TV, and of course, most importantly, the show that's happening at the Palms of Crown. Jade Hurley, welcome to the program, and say hi to Andrew for me.
G'day, Ronnie, and hello, Andrew. It's nice to be talking to you again. My God, and talk about that. Black is Black. What a classic that was.
It is. It was. Back in the mid-60s, Los Bravos, one-hit wonders, Jade.
Yeah, one-hit wonders, yeah. Well, I'm a little bit of a classic for picking them out, Ronnie, because, I go looking on the net for songs that really haven't been covered as such, and I give them my all, and that's a classic example. That one, the Los Bravos, Black is Black.
Absolutely, but I remember seeing you on the Mike Walsh show and also the Ray Martin show, and you sang a tragic number which was a #1 hit worldwide for a gentleman called Ray Peterson, and the song was
Tell Laura I Love Her.
Absolutely, Jade. What a top song that was, eh?
Oh, beautiful, Ronnie. Yeah, beautiful. And he also released Missing You. Do you remember that? Missing You, can't help but think, but beautiful song.
And I think his very first claim to fame was The Wonder of You as well. He did the original.
I think you might be right, I think you might be right there, mate. And Ray Peterson had the most extraordinary voice. He had a voice similar to, if you like, and very recognisable, like Roy Orbison, and just an enormous range in his voice, and a natural range in his voice, and Great hit records.
We lost him much too soon. Another hit that he had the fame was I Love Karina.
Absolutely. Tell the world I do.
I love Karina.
Isn't that funny, because you mentioned the Mike Walsh show, and all of those shows going way back, and all literally because over about 14 years I appeared on that particular show, the midday shows and the Ray Martin shows, and oh God, even when others compared their show when Mike Walsh finished, and all of those songs down through basically every #1 hit record down through the years, Jade Hurley's performed on those shows, because as I say, over 14 years, and every time I did the show, I had my own segment on there called Jade Hurley's Golden Oldens. Mike said when he made me the offer to appear on the show on a regular basis and with my own segment, I'd do 4 or 5 songs or bits and pieces of 4 or 5 #1 hit records from down through the years, and so we basically covered everything from the 50s and the 60s and a lot of the 70s and 80s even,
Well, you see, there's songs that'll live forevermore there, Jade, and even today, I mean, you listen to the radio, I mean, here at the studio that we are based here, we're playing the stuff from the 50s and 60s. It's more than 70 years ago, mate.
That's right. And you've got young Andrew there, who's only a bit of a whippersnapper.
That's right, Jade,
and he's getting a real good classic lesson in good old-fashioned rock and roll. And don't also forget, Andrew and Ronnie, that during the rock and roll era, you also had classic country songs, like let's face it. I mean, "Tell Laura I Love Her So" wasn't a rock and roll song. It was a country ballad, if you like.
Yeah.
And then you had songs from like people like Jim Reeves, "You'll Have to Go," and "A White Sports Coat and a Pink Carnation," and all of those classic #1 country songs were intermingled between all of those classic rock and roll songs. It was just the most unbelievable era. And sadly, and I've got to say, hey, Andrew, you missed out on all of that, mate. But however, you're getting groomed into it right now.
He's catching up.
Exactly.
Enjoy the music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we, as Ronnie said, we play a lot of that stuff here on this show. So although perhaps I wasn't alive at the time, I know all the songs very well, and I almost feel as if I lived through that period at times.
Yeah, and the ironic part about it is that when you look back to the good old days of rock and roll, and then of course that's the name of the show that we're bringing to Melbourne for the first time at the Palms. Oh, by the way, it's a 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon show, Ronnie, not Sunday night. It's a matinee show, 2 p.m. So any of the old recycled teenagers and old rockers who don't like going out in the night time, that's why we put on the show at the Palms in the afternoon. So it's 2 o'clock show. So looking forward to all of that. But if it wasn't for all those Elvis Presley and Ray Peterson, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, and all of those, if it wasn't for those all of those people and the hit records that we enjoyed and inherited from all of those people, God only knows what the world would be like musically today. However, it certainly certainly doesn't have the if you like the variations, if you like, of
melodic feel, mate. Melodic feel.
No. It's I mean,
Jade, I want to ask you this question now. I'm going to let Andrew in too as well.
Okay. Now,
how did you kick off your career? I mean, when did you know you had this flair for playing the guitar and singing? How old were you at the time when you? Yeah.
Well, I was a little bit unique, if you like, and Ronnie, because I played piano, and no one in Australia, played piano in those days, and I got the ability after sitting down next to my mum on the piano stool, because my mum played the piano, God love her. And I lost her when I was only 14 years of age through breast cancer, and I kind of never got over that. And but the memories of sitting there while she read the music from the sheet music, and because she couldn't play by ear, so she had to read the music, and I'd sit there, and after a while, I put 2 and 2 together, because I'd look at exactly where her fingers were on the piano and what notes she was reading off the sheet music. So over a period of a couple of years, I taught myself how to read music, how to write music, and how to play and everything like that. But I discovered, and I really didn't discover it myself. But I'll never forget, in those days, my mum and her 4 sisters used to, every Thursday, come to our place in Sydney, and they'd play cards. They'd have a cards afternoon and have lunch there and play cards. And I was home sick from school one day, and they had the old radiogram on the station there, and then all of a sudden, on came Debbie Reynolds, I should say. Debbie Reynolds singing Tammy, which was a #1 hit record right in the middle of the rock and roll era way back then. In the middle of Heartbreak Hotel and Jailhouse Rock and You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. Yeah. Debbie Reynolds had this enormous #1 hit record called Tammy. And I just went over, I sat and I listened to this song. Then I went over to the piano and lifted up the lid, and I sat down there and I played the song. And my mum's sisters, my aunties, one particular one who had a little bit of musical ability like my mum, she said, "How did you do that?" And I said, what? I didn't realise what I'd done. She said, you just heard that song on the radio and you've gone over and sat down and you've played it. And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. And
this came natural.
And I've never known anybody to have that type of ability, if you like.
You've got an ability to do something on the piano that lots of rock and roll supporters love. I don't know what you call it. You did term it to me at one stage there. I think you called it glitch or something, where you roll your fingers up on the piano like Jerry Lee Lewis and then bring it back. What do you call that?
Okay, it's called gliss.
Gliss?
It's called glissing, glissing up and down the piano. And ironically enough, it's great that you remember that, Ronnie, because yes, I do it. Jerry Lee Lewis invented it and stuck it in his rock and roll and country music hit records. And however, when you look at others like Billy Joel, he never glisses up and down the piano, never. Sir Elton John never glisses up and down the piano. Charlie Rich, another great country piano player, never glissed up and down the piano. Fats Domino never glissed up and down the piano.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis did. And he because we've got to remember that when Jerry Lee Lewis went into Sun Studio in Memphis and was discovered, he never went in there as a piano player. He basically went in there as a percussionist, and by accident sat down there at the piano and started doing all these glissing up and down the piano, and Elvis and all the rest of them just sat back and said, God, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But funnily enough,
very unique for its time.
Well, but a lot of people have said that I copied that, and I never have, because I do it entirely different than Jerry Lee did it, and it just became part and parcel of little fill-ins, if you like, between choruses and verses in songs, and it became a natural thing for me to throw in where it was appropriate. But Jerry Lee Lewis, he did it as a show theme.
Well, mate, when you do it, I saw you at Pascoe Vale one night, and you were doing it there. It's just reminiscence to Jerry Lee Lewis, but you do it with such flair. And I mean, it looks so easy the way you do it, but just amazing. Andrew, you want to ask him a question or two?
Oh, well, yes. Well, I wanted to ask first of all, how did the show you're doing? So what's the name of the show again?
Good Old Days.
It's called The Good Old Days of Rock and Roll.
I was going to ask, how did that all come about for you? Because I know you've been doing that for the past couple of years or so, on and off. How did that all start off for you?
Good question, Andrew. First of all, I wrote a show called because as we're getting older, and I just a couple of weeks ago I turned 80 years of age, and
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm still as fit as a mallee bull and throw the leg up on the piano and everything like that, and still bliss up and down as we've just been talking about and everything like that. And then I thought to myself, well, you know, I still love doing my own shows, which I still do, but I thought, you know, there's a lot of mates around like Little Paddy and Lucky Star and Digger Revell and Normie Rowe, and they're still all around. So I wrote a show called Three Legends in Concert, and I invited Normie Rowe onto that and Dinah Lee, and that show went through the roof. We had a few. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. We had a few personality problems, shall we say?
Yeah. So, you're not going to tell us who the problem was.
I'll let you,
better not.
Let you be the guesser of that one. But anyway, we got rid of that show, and I thought, well, this is because every show was booked out, and it was amazing, and there'd never been a show doing the rounds like this, apart from the Ghost show, but with about 20 people on it, but not three legends in concert. And that. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, I thought to myself, okay, that's gone. So let's put the old thinking cap on again, and I came up with the show that Johnny O'Keefe, many years ago, when I was starting out, he was managing me. And he put together a show called The Good Old Days of Rock and Roll. We even took the show to Melbourne and did various clubs and pubs down in Melbourne. It was just an amazing show with Johnny O'Keefe. I'm just trying to remember who else was on it. I think Lucky or Lonnie Lee.
Lonnie Lee, probably.
And a few others were on it. And anyway, then I remembered that, and I thought, well, yeah, okay. That was a success in those days, and who have we got left now that I can invite onto the Good Old Days of Rock and Roll? So I came up with little Patty. I rang her up. She said, "Yes, I'm in." Rang up Lucky Star. He said, "Yeah, I've been everywhere. I'm on."
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
And then I rang Dinah because by this time she'd moved back to New Zealand. So every time we do a show, Dinah's got to fly out from New Zealand to do the show. And
oh wow, yeah.
Look, everyone on the show. I mean, those folk, they're just such great performers. It's a fun show. There's a lot of comedy in it, a lot of laughs and everything like that, and a lot of great music. I mean, from Stompy Wompy Real Gone Surfer Boy to Dinah's hits, Do the Blue Beat and Rick Petite and all of those songs, and then of course Lucky with I've Been Everywhere, and which is hilarious to see him sing that. How the hell he gets his tongue around those towns all over Australia?
Now, I'll tell you what I'd like you to do. I'm going to play a bracket of tunes that you made on recording. And then when we come back, I want you to enlighten us about the show and how it's turned out. Like, who's coming out first? Those that are going to do individual numbers. I understand that you'll be coming out as a foursome at the start, and then you break off and each member does their own thing, and then you get back together again for the finale. Is that correct?
That's right. That's exactly it.
We'll talk more about that as we get into the interview. First of all,
good on you.
Here's a bracket of your famous songs that you recorded there, Jade. Oh man!
Wow, going back way back to Sea of Heartbreak from Don Gibson, and you wouldn't believe it, Ronnie. Mike Walsh sent me to America to interview a lot of stars over a few weeks during the show, and I did that. Don Gibson was one that I interviewed. Tammy Wynette was another one. Floyd Kramer, the great piano player, was another one, and Ray Stevens, among many others, and. But Don Gibson was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, because I went into his recording studio, and his manager was there and everything like that, and something really bothered me, because he had this big Western hat on, and it really didn't show all his face, and I thought, oh, this is not going to be good when I'm interviewing him and he's going to be on camera. So I said to his manager, I said, can you get him to take the hat off? And he said, that's not going to happen, Jade. And I said, why is that? He said, because he's got no hair, he's bald.
Joking. Oh, no. Any wonder he came up with Sea of Heartbreak. Unbelievable.
Yes,
Don Gibson, what a great talent he was. Now, Jade, you're speaking of American talent there, and also country artist. You worked alongside, I dropped these names, the husband and wife team, June Carter and Johnny Cash. And I got a feeling that Billy Joe Spears, not Britney Spears, Billy Joe Spears was on the bill.
Yes, she was, mate. Yeah, Blanket on the Ground, number one hit record, Blanket on the Ground.
That's the one. She's no longer with us, is she? She passed on.
No, she's not. Billy died a little while back, and very, very sadly. And but can you imagine what it was like for me to get the invite to perform with Johnny and June Carter Cash?
Oh man!
In Ireland, at the Cork Opera House in Ireland, it was, fellas, and that came out of the blue, and Johnny used to see me because I used to perform on a television show out of Christchurch, New Zealand, and that was called That's Country, and that particular show, That's Country, was shown on the Nashville network right throughout America on cable television over there, and to 19 million people 3 times weekly, and I found out later that Johnny and June used to sit there in the lounge room and when they heard that I was coming on and just to watch me play, because I played differently to Jerry Lee and Fats Domino and all the rest of them, and then when this huge tour, which was totally sold out, 5 shows at the Cork Opera House in Cork in Ireland, it was all sold out. When that was in the offering, he said to the promoters over there, he said, okay, he said, I want one. He said, I want one act on the bill, and that was me. And Billy Joe Spears was also on that particular show and everything like that. But we became great mates, and for many years after that. And when June went into hospital in Nashville because she had a congenital heart problem, and so she went into hospital to have it hopefully fixed, and she didn't survive the operation, so she died. And Johnny, only 4 months later, he died of a broken heart, and because they were so close, and
they were.
But just amazing people. Can you imagine what it's like? Can you imagine the first show that I did at the Cork Opera House, and I was closing the first half, and the first and I'm singing On the Wings of the Snow White, the old Phil and Hardy song, and I looked over in the wings on the curtains on the side of the stage, and there's Johnny Cash sitting there and June Carter, and Johnny's sitting on a big stool and June's got her arms wrapped around his shoulders, and they're just watching me perform, and. After the shows had finished and everything like that, we went out to dinner and did all of that, and I said to Johnny, I said, I noticed you, and that happened every show, and I said to him, I said, why were you sitting over there, looking at me? And he said, well, Jade, he said, you perform differently to anybody else who plays piano, and ironically enough, Johnny O'Keefe said the same thing all those years earlier when he discovered me in a talent quest at 14 years of age at a hotel in Sydney when I shouldn't have even been there. But that's life, and that's the luck of the game.
Well, speak of discovery, this 19-year-old before me came across a recording that you did many years ago. I'm going to let him tell the story to you. Go to it there, Andrew.
Oh, well, so I had a recording of a music station, and it played one of your songs, and at the time, well, I'll explain this. I had a recording of a music station, and it played a song of yours, but before it got to the end of the song where they would back announce what it was, the recording ended. And so I really liked this song that was the last one on the recording, but I didn't know who had sung it or what the name of the song was. And so I spent the next week or so trying to figure out what this song was, because, of course, the recording had ended before they had back announced it, so I had no idea. And I eventually found out that it was one of your songs, Jade, and this is actually how I discovered you and your music. And it was one of your very first songs, How I Lied, and I just love that song still to this day. And I know, I went out and I bought a second-hand copy of the old 45 on HMV Records. And
that's right.
Yes, and it was only I was looking then for the sheet music, actually, because I play a bit of organ, and I only a couple of months ago, managed to find the original sheet music for that song, and I was so excited. Wow. But,
God, you wouldn't believe it, because that was my first ever record and on HMV Records.
Yeah.
And I pitched the song to Joe Halford, who was the artist and repertoire manager at HMV Records, and he said, No, he said it's a good song, but he said, no, you sound too much like Buddy Holly.
Oh, really? Yeah.
God, that can't be all that bad. But anyway, he said no. So anyway, he said, go away and write some more songs. And over the next few months, I did. And I made another appointment with him about 6 or 9 months later.
Yeah.
And I'd written about 6 or 8 songs, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna try something a little bit tricky, a little bit smart here. So I put How I Lied in the middle of the mix of the songs. Yeah. And you wouldn't believe it. He rang me up after he'd listened to them. He said, hey, by the way, he said there's a great song on there. It's called How I Lied.
Oh, that's
and
marvelous.
He said we're going to record you doing that. So that's how I got my first ever recording contract.
Wow.
All by a silly incident. First of all, he reckoned, it's a good song, but you sound like too much like Buddy Holly, and then he offered me a contract. He didn't realise.
That's fantastic. And can I ask, Jade, do you remember how you said that was one of your first songs. Do you remember how you actually came up with the song initially?
Yeah, I do. I was sitting at home with Mum's piano, and I just started. And I thought, hey, that's got a little bit of a hook to it. And then I'm not kidding. In 10 or 15 minutes, the song was finished.
Wow! And the words.
And I sat there with the old biro and piece of paper, and because the lyrics were pretty basic and things like that, but the hook was the
it's unique. It is unique, and
but putting that with a 2-1 beat, with a bong bong bong.
Yes,
bong, bong,
that's right. Yep.
That was so unique in this day. No one had really ever heard anything like that here in Australia.
I've got to say, Jade, we've been inundated with text messages today on the program. We got one here from Rosebud, and you performed out that way, haven't you there, Jade?
I certainly have.
Yeah. It's up on the peninsula. Hi, Ronnie and Andrew. It's John from Rosebud. Great show today. Brighten up my day. Thanks so much. So there you go. Part of the program, lovely. And all these listeners are out there enjoying the show. Jade, when you sum up those years on the midday show, the Ray Martin show, and all the variety shows that you appeared on television, they'll never be equal, those years. And sadly, they're missed, because today, the young kids of today, they don't want any experience in their business or anything. They've got to go either to The Voice or Australia's Got Talent. I mean, the old variety shows of days gone by are no longer.
And the sad reality about The Voice and Australia's Got Talent is really it's all about the judges. I mean, they get these superstar judges and bring people from England and America and all this sort of thing and everything like that. And the poor Australian performers, they get one chance in their life to sing 3 or 4 songs during the duration of their appearances, if they're lucky. But they've got the best of sound, the best of lighting, the best backing bands and best vocal backings and everything like that. And it is so false, because they never have that when they go out and do a pub gig or whatever.
True.
It's sad. It's just so false, and I feel so sorry for 9 out of 10 of those performers who go on there. Having said that, it's a great achievement for them to get on a show like that, and at least they can look back later on in life and say, hey, I did that, and I was lucky enough to do that. But however, the sad reality out of all these the shows like The Voice and Australia's Got Talent is, realistically, there's only a half a dozen real stars that have ever come out of those shows.
Now, Jade, we've only got about 5 minutes, so I want to promote the show. Tell us all about it. You're coming out on stage, and, of course, Little Patty does a bit, and Lucky Star.
No, we first of all, we come out on stage. There's the 4 of us. We're all introduced on stage. We all sing a number together and everything like that, and get the people clapping their hands, stamping their feet and everything like that. And then as you said it a little bit earlier there, Ronnie, that, yeah, the four of us, we both do our own sets individually, and then we come out and we all four of us to close the first half. Then there's an interval. Then we open up with the second half again, and then the four of us do the whole lot of us do another set each and everything like that, and then we finish up all on stage. And I won't tell you what the last song is, but you'll be up on your feet.
Absolutely. Now, Jade, give us the time, the day, and the venue once again.
Right, it's at the Palms at the Crown in Melbourne, and it's Sunday, October the 8th. Sunday afternoon, October the 8th, and it's a 2 p.m. matinee show. So Sunday the 8th of October, and it's a 2 p.m. show at the Palms at the Crown, and you can get tickets now.
Fantastic.
And so looking forward to it, because this is our first show, ironically enough, out of New South Wales and Queensland. We toured the show all to packed out houses all up and down the east coast, but this is our first time.
I tell you what, you do lots of work. You do Twin Towns. You do everything. You're all over the place. Unbelievable.
It's just amazing, and I'm so lucky, fellas, because I still get a chance to go out there and perform my own show, which is an entirely different show to the performances that we put on with the good old days of rock and roll.
Okay, now, Jade, we've got another text message that came through. Great interview. A gentleman that you've spoken to on this very program, and he was here last time you were on air with me, and that is Dave Graham Jr. He's out there, and he says, a great interview, and he loves you, mate.
Oh, thanks. Lovely to hear from you, Ian, Dave. God bless you, mate.
There you go. Okay, Jade, thank you so much for joining us. And Andrew from the opposite side there, Andrew?
Yes, well, as I've said, I've ever since I first heard How I Lied, I've been a fan of you and your music, Jade, and to talk to you today and interview you was fantastic. And I'm
Thank
hoping,
you very, very much,
yes,
Andrew.
I'm hoping to get down to that show in Melbourne. Because I know you've been up in, as you said, in New South Wales and Queensland. I've always hoped that you'd come down to Melbourne, so I'm going to probably try my best to get tickets and see how I go.
Good on you, mate. Lovely to talk to you again, fellas, and it's always a pleasure on that wonderful, wonderful radio station.
Good on you there, Jade, and sweet memories of those days when you dropped into the studio and the late Bill Corrie. Was here at the studio, mate.
God love him. We lost Bill a long time ago now, Ronnie, and he was just the loveliest bloke. And I'm trying to remember the last show he went to.
Pascoe Vale.
Pascoe Vale, it was. Pascoe Vale RSL Club. That was the last show before we lost him.
Yeah. And he said, come along, I'm going to see Jade Hurley. Oh, mate, let's go. So there you go. Good on you, Jade. I love you, mate, and I'll keep
Thank you,
in touch.
fellas. It's lovely to talk to you. Thank you, Andrew. Don't forget, Sunday the 8th of October at 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon, the 8th of October. So hope to see you there along on the show there, folks.
Good on you,
Lovely
Jade.
to talk to you, fellas. Bye.
Yes. Thank you, Jade.
Bye now. The one and only Mr. Jade Hurley.
Well, it starts round Griffith, it works on down the south, down to Echuca, following the old stock route. There's acres of rice, keeping all the country green.